Welcome back to our channel where we provide updates and undisclosed narratives on Catherine, Princess of Wales, and her royal family. We provide you with the exciting news: King Charles confronts Queen Camilla's jealous move towards Princess Catherine. The British monarchy led by King Charles III is going through a big change that requires balancing historic traditions with the changing needs of today's society. This chapter is on the public role's perceived power and symbolic importance of two important women in the family, Queen Camilla and Catherine, Princess of Wales. The royal family has always been an important part of public life and the news. However, modern stories and public opinions show that things are changing inside the palace because of history, individual personalities, and the careful distribution of duties. The Princess of Wales is becoming more and more famous, while Queen Camilla is still trying to win over the people completely. This has created a story of changing influence. This story has put King Charles in a difficult situation where he needs to balance his personal relationships with the stability of the monarchy while dealing with the problems that come with being a royal in the 21st century. This position prompts critical questions about the institution's future, the nature and sustainability of public support, and the interaction of individual identities and personal histories with the formal duties and constitutional symbols integral to Buckingham Palace. Charles became king on September 8, 2022, which officially ended a lifetime of training for royal duty. However, the crown he received comes with more than simply ceremonial precedence and constitutional responsibility. It includes layers of personal history and shared memory that have built up over the years. Many people have strong opinions about him and the monarchy because he used to be the Prince of Wales and was married to and divorced from Diana, Princess of Wales. He also had a long-term relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles, now Queen Camilla. In his first national speech as king, King Charles asked his wife for help and said he trusted her steadfast devotion to duty on which I have come to rely so much. This public endorsement not only made clear the partnership that would support his reign, but it also made clear the important role Camilla would play alongside him. It was a planned message to both local and global audiences that the organization was stable and united, which is important for its legitimacy, since it relies on symbolic unity. Even if the king has said these things in public, many close to him say that the ghosts of past judgments and arguments are still there. Modern ideas about the royal family are still shaped by the complicated and often highly intimate tales that were made public in the previous several decades. People all across the globe watched Charles and Diana's wedding in 1981, which was called a fairy tale at the time. The celebration at St. Paul's Cathedral showed that the monarchy can put on a show that means renewal and continuation. Even though the ceremony was spectacular, there were a lot of problems throughout the relationship. The differences in age interests and the constant obligations of public life made it hard for the two to connect emotionally and practically. The revelations of extramarital romances, particularly Charles's enduring relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles, culminated in a highly publicized separation in 1992 and finally a divorce in 1996. People at the time and commentators called the events the War of the Waleses. They had a big effect on people's belief in the monarchy and Charles's public image. They changed how the media interacted with the royal family, which led to an age of invasive and sometimes sensationalist reporting that turned private matters into public concerns. The death of Diana in a car accident in Paris in 1997 had a big effect on the emotions of the British people. Her humanitarian work, such as her support for HIV/AIDS awareness and the fight against landmines, together with her natural ability to connect with those in need, created a strong and lasting bond with the public. The guidelines she set for how royal family members should interact with regular people emotionally and practically changed the way subsequent royal behavior was judged. In this setting, Camilla's gradual integration into the monarchy's official life necessitated careful oversight. Her former role in Charles's personal affairs, which had garnered considerable media scrutiny and public disapproval, required recontextualization to facilitate a degree of acceptance. Even though King Charles loves Camilla very much, the history of their relationship still impacts how others see them, and according to many royal experts, how the family gets along with each other. The mistakes and problems of the past still get in the way of building a new royal legacy. The memory of Diana works on many levels. For many, she is still a moral and emotional standard representing modern sensitivity charm that is easy to approach and a transformational sensibility in the monarchy. For others, her life and death showed flaws in the system and highlighted the gap between what people expect from the public and what really happens. This dual inheritance makes Camilla's view of herself more complicated. She is both a companion of the king, who plays a traditional consort role, and a person who has to be accepted by the public slowly via her contributions to society. The mix of sadness, nostalgia, and constant media stories makes sure that every parallel to Diana is still relevant. The monarchy's public relations efforts, ceremonial choices, and the demeanor of its members are all carefully planned with a full understanding of how Diana's image still affects people emotionally. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, has become an important part of the institution's work to balance old traditions with new demands. Her public image has been getting better and better since she married Prince William in 2011. Her formal title as Princess of Wales when Charles became king in 2022 made her much more visible and established her prominence. A lot of different things that are all related have made her quite famous. She has a polished mix of calmness, refinement, and a clear commitment to her civic obligations. At the same time, she has been able to make herself seem kind and understanding, and media reports and public testimonials typically describe her as polite and honest. This balance, grand yet friendly, has allowed her to provide a link between formal duties and the more informal contacts that contemporary audiences frequently like. The Princess of Wales is different from other royals in that she is actively involved with various social issues. This is in addition to her personality and looks. Traditional royal patronage may have focused on ceremonial support, but she has chosen a more focused, long-term, and evidence-based approach to charity. Her first big project was the Heads Together campaign, which she worked on alongside Prince William and Prince Harry. Its goal was to make it easier for people in the UK to talk about mental health issues and to make it normal to ask for help with mental illness. The campaign featured public awareness campaigns working with charities and high-profile events to change how people think about things. This shows how a royal platform may be utilized to change how people talk about things. The princess has been focusing on early childhood development in recent years. This is the important period from conception to age 5 that science is starting to realize is very important for a child's cognitive, social, and emotional growth. In 2021, she started the Royal Foundation Center for Early Childhood, an organization that wants to raise awareness of the scientific evidence that shows how important the early years of life are for future outcomes and turn that evidence into policy and help for families. She has proven that a contemporary royal role goes beyond ceremonial patronage to encompass long-term advocacy by connecting the royal platform with an evidence-based policy area. This includes working with experts, commissioning research summaries, and talking to practitioners. Experts in the early years field have praised her for her ongoing focus, which has also improved her image as a public figure who is both visible and deep. The princess's strategy shows that she has thought carefully about how to use the media, putting story consistency and authenticity first. When she goes out in public, she typically has carefully planned picture opportunities and messaging that focus on family, children, and health. She uses long-form interviews and documentary features, wisely giving people a look into her private thoughts, but yet keeping the line between her personal life and her official duties clear. This balance has been important for keeping a good image. She's not only making symbolic gestures, she's also consistently participating and advocating in ways that show continuity, expertise, and a growing policy presence. The princess is popular as indicated by her high ratings in public opinion surveys. This is not just because of her charitable work, but also because she represents family and continuity. She and her husband, Prince William, provide the public a strong sense of family stability as parents of three, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. People frequently say that her public demeanor is a mix of the late Queen Elizabeth II's calm sense of duty and discipline and the warm, emotionally connected public presence that Diana was known for. This combination has made Catherine a key player in the monarchy's effort to be important and respected across generations, and in a media world that values honesty and real impact more and more. Her position as a well-known and forward-thinking person meets a number of institutional goals. First, it humanizes the abstract symbolism of monarchy. Second, it helps people focus on public policy issues that are very important to a large number of voters. Third, it shows a stable image of the country during times of political and social change when symbolic continuity is very important. Her appeal is both emotional and practical. It makes people feel sorry for the family and lets them talk about policies in a way that could otherwise push the institution to the side. Queen Camilla's journey to gaining acceptance by the public has been longer and more difficult. Even though she has been married to Charles for a long time and became Queen Consort on May 6, 2023, people still have conflicting feelings about her. People still think of her as the person who broke apart Charles and Diana's marriage in the 1990s. It was very hard to fight back against the tabloids' image of her as the other woman, especially because of how the media's stories and Diana's story affected people's emotions. The legacy of comparing Camilla to Diana, who combined humanitarian work with extraordinary public empathy, set a standard that was both hard to meet and often impossible for Camilla. Camilla has consistently worked on several causes and official duties to gain a prominent place in the royal family. Since she married Charles in 2005, she has done a lot of public work and sponsored a lot of groups focusing on issues that may not be very popular right now, but have a big effect on society. She has been a strong supporter of literacy programs, especially the Reading Room Project, which aims to get more people to read and make books more available in many places. She has been active in this area by going to libraries supporting reading programs and using her public profile to encourage others to give to charity and volunteer. She has also spoken up for victims of domestic and sexual violence, bringing attention to their needs and adding to the public conversation on support resources, legal protections, and survivor care. As the Royal Osteoporosis Society's patron, a role that came about because of her family's experience with the disease, she has pushed for better awareness screening and treatment methods, combining her own narrative with public lobbying. When she meets with people in public, she frequently puts consistent behind-the-scenes work first, including opening clinics, going to roundtables, and working with volunteers and frontline workers. This approach reflects a consort's traditional preference for supporting and continuity-focused duties above political engagement. It shows that rebuilding public capital is a slow process that requires hard work and the public's capacity to observe people doing things that promote empathy and respect. Her focus on practical solutions, including helping older people with their mental health, encouraging the arts in small towns, and improving literacy among kids and adults, shows that she prefers everyday civic-minded work over spectacular agitation. Even though she has worked hard and has been recognized in royal circles for her practical nature, sense of humor, and dedication to her royal duties, public opinion has changed slowly. For some people, Camilla is forever linked to the monarchy's most troubling recent chapter. For others, she is considered as the king's faithful partner and a good supporter of public projects. The public's mixed feelings about her put her in a dangerous situation with the Princess of Wales, whose popularity tends to grow with each high-profile engagement. This difference has been more apparent after Queen Elizabeth II died, as the public's attention and institutional efforts have turned to the monarchy's possible future, which is largely represented by William and Catherine. So, even though Camilla's official job as Queen Consort is clear, her status is always changing because of how people compare her to others and how they remember past stories. Since the late queen died, the redistribution of duties and the reorganization of public roles have caused subtle changes in the dynamics of the palace. The Prince and Princess of Wales have gradually become more important public figures as the public face of the next generation of the monarchy throughout King Charles III's reign. Several palace experts have said that their greater visibility seen in individual overseas trips, leading national programs, and more public engagement has changed the way people regard the institution. The Princess of Wales has utilized her increased responsibilities to show that she can lead on her own within the royal family. On the other hand, Camilla needs to prove her own importance and authority because of the similar change in tasks. This change is both practical and symbolic. The monarchy has to take care of a lot of official business, diplomatic relations, and charitable work. Passing this duty down through the generations helps keep things going and prevents burnout. Assigning important public duties to William and Catherine is a way of preparing the people for future kings and queens by making the transition smoother. In this situation, Camilla has to make sure that she is seen as complementary to not compete with William and Catherine, who are rising stars. To get to that balance, you need to carefully arrange your public appearances, how you communicate, and how you prioritize your patrons. People who have spoken about how Camilla and Catherine get along have generally focused on how polite they are to each other, rather than how friendly they are. When the two women are in public, they are typically polite and measured with one another. People who see them say that they don't behave as casually with each other as they do with other family members. This conduct may be interpreted in several ways: as a demonstration of deliberate professionalism, as an acknowledgement of public perceptions and historical context, or as a reflection of complex interior feelings shaped by familial history. Even though Prince William has been kind and courteous to Camilla, many often compare the Princess of Wales to the late Diana. Many critics have said that Catherine has a position in the public imagination like to that of Diana, an emotionally resonant female figure characterized by her approachability and friendliness. The perceived intersection of symbolic realms, regardless of its equity or veracity, may impact the intentional and calculated interactions between Camilla and Catherine. Institutional influences also need to be kept under check. Royal etiquette and the desire to create unity frequently lead to severe rules on how people should behave in public. The media has a habit of blowing things out of proportion when there are signs of conflict. On purpose, holding back may be a good way to protect yourself. It's better to keep content that may be viewed as discord to a minimum than to make things worse by giving the media fodder for sensationalist articles. Also, private interactions between people may not always match up with public displays. There may be warmth, understanding, or simple practical collaboration that is not intended for others to see. An institution that thrives on symbolic significance but is hurt by too much sharing of its private matters must always find a balance between being open and being private. Some people think that Queen Camilla is trying to improve her public image on purpose by making her engagements more important and carefully choosing when to appear in public. To get public recognition and stay relevant to the institution, a senior royal could increase their public appearances, become more involved in important state events, and concentrate on their own charitable work. From this perspective, Camilla's actions are not intrinsically adversarial to the Princess of Wales. Rather, they signify a pragmatic reaction to the institutional need of demonstrating the Queen Consort's engagement in public matters. In terms of the Constitution, the Queen Consort's main job is to support and perform ceremonial obligations, not to run the government. However, being seen in public and making judgments about who to support are key parts of being a successful consort. Camilla's participation in commemorative events, relief initiatives, and cultural inaugurations fulfills a prolonged socialization purpose. It normalizes her presence during various national occasions and enables diverse demographics to develop perceptions based on direct engagement, rather than on reiterated narratives. Over time, this kind of exposure may help groups who were formerly suspicious feel less alone. The process is slow and depends on doing things again and over, having real conversations, and being able to make real connections. Supportive media coverage rather than sensationalist tabloid reporting may help with this. So, King Charles's job of keeping an eye on these internal dynamics is quite important. People say that Charles relies heavily on his wife for emotional support and respects her position. At the same time, he is quite aware of how popular and important William and Catherine are to the monarchy's long-term appeal. The monarch's job is to maintain a balance that makes sure that both Camilla and the Prince and Princess of Wales feel comfortable in their responsibilities and able to help the institution continue. This requires precise coordination of public activities, responsibilities, and honors to avert the cultivation of a perception of rivalry or exclusion. Joint public activities, which are often held at ceremonial events like Commonwealth Day services, Trooping the Color State receptions, and other events, play an important role in showing unity and continuity. These planned shows are meant to calm people down in a society that values stability above all else. The king has purposefully given the next generation the job. He is preparing the Prince and Princess of Wales for their future roles as monarchs by giving them important tasks like representing the UK abroad and leading major national projects. He is also exploiting their popularity to preserve the monarchy's cultural importance. This plan, although useful, might make people think that William and Catherine are the most important people in the institution's future, which could make people think less of the present queen consort. The management of symbolism, deciding who shows up in what context and with what emphasis, becomes a key part of keeping institutions stable. People close to the royal family say that Charles is using a strategy of family diplomacy that needs both private and public communication. He has to show his wife how important she is, praise her for being his consort, and at the same time, let his son and daughter-in-law take on positions that will make the monarchy more appealing to younger and more diverse groups of people. This balancing act requires both constitutional structure and sensitivity to other people. If not handled well, problems inside a family might become public, which would repeat a trend from the past when personal disagreements and perceived dissension led to a loss of public faith in the institution. This problem is more than just about looks or public relations. It has to do with the monarchy's fundamental constitutional and cultural duties. In a time when the importance of hereditary institutions is regularly questioned, every evidence of disagreement within the monarchy may be blown out of proportion to undermine its claim to represent national unity and stability. On the other side, if these dynamics are handled well, they might strengthen the monarchy's argument for continuity, that it can change while still serving a unified symbolic purpose. So Charles's plan must take into account the past, the media, the political situation, and the changing needs of civil society. Charles's rule had effects on both society and individuals. The monarchy relies on public perceptions of continuity, dignity, and importance, while the sovereign must secretly manage family relationships that are inevitably subject to public scrutiny. People will judge how well his way works, not just by how good he is at politics and ceremonies, but also by how well he can balance the needs for love and attention in his family. If he can make sure that Queen Camilla's present work and the future work of the Prince and Princess of Wales work together, instead of against one another, the monarchy will be better able to show both stability and change at the same time. To understand the bigger effects of these connections, we need to think about how public support and institutional legitimacy work together. As constitutional organizations, monarchies derive a substantial percentage of their authority from symbolic capital. The collective belief that the royal lineage embodies continuity, national identity, and a shared set of goals. Having persons within the institution who are seen as role models for its values might improve the institution's image. So the Princess of Wales's popularity is good for the monarchy. Her ability to connect with people emotionally, her work on social issues, and her family-oriented image all make the monarchy more relevant to society. When a well-known person like Camilla causes public doubt, on the other hand, the monarchy must carefully turn private loyalty and institutional legitimacy into broader public support. This translation isn't quick or guaranteed. It takes time, hard work, and opportunities for the audience to read different stories. This strategy is based on Camilla's long-term commitment to several causes, her increasing involvement in official duties, and the king's public backing. It is possible for public opinion to change slowly over time, as persons may be judged again based on their empathy competence and how well they seem to connect with topics that interest voters and civic organizations. The monarchy's job is to help with this reevaluation and to prepare the next generation for both symbolic and practical leadership positions. The monarchy also has to deal with developments in the media and public debate that make it harder to build an image. The rise of social media and broken news systems makes it easier for stories about people to spread quickly and widely, making it less likely that traditional gatekeeping by established channels would work. This environment encourages both positive engagement and critical analysis. So the palace's communication strategy is becoming more and more based on a mix of controlled disclosures, carefully planned public appearances, and the creation of direct pathways to avoid negative or dramatic news. These strategies may sway public opinion, but they need authenticity since the modern audience quickly discerns theatrical gestures without genuine dedication. There is a deep moral question concerning the role of monarchy in contemporary public life that goes beyond these practical difficulties. To what extent should the institution be defined by its capacity to inspire love and foster togetherness, and to what extent by its concrete contributions to social and civic welfare? The trajectories of Queen Camilla and the Princess of Wales reveal a partial conclusion. The monarchy's future viability likely rests on a hybrid model that mixes ceremonial symbols with actual effective public engagement. If the activities of the consort and the heirs apparent are perceived as real consistent and in line with current circumstances, they may both take on this hybrid role. You also need to think about practical organizing things. The royal household is a large, organized group of people that work on scheduling communication policy advice and engaging with constituents. The speed and substance of public contact are set by how resources are distributed, such as whose offices support various patronages, who writes briefing notes, and which teams work with charities and government agencies. A cohesive home strategy that aligns communications and objectives across generations may improve results. Conversely, fragmented or combative approaches may conceal the public narrative. These hiring choices show which people the monarchy wants to promote in the near term, and which jobs are meant to be more supportive or ceremonial. One big effect is how overseas visits and diplomatic meetings affect things. State visits and worldwide tours are still a unique way for the monarchy to use soft power and popular diplomacy. The Prince and Princess of Wales have been going on more and more visits that focus on improving ties between the two countries, working together on economic issues and sharing culture. This maintains the monarchy's worldwide significance. Camilla's participation in some travels and her overseas engagements further enhance the consort's role in representing continuity and shared interests. Choosing which royals lead various delegations is an important and symbolic decision that shows international partners how the monarchy chooses its representatives and sets its priorities. The interplay between ceremonial duties and lobbying has significant policy consequences. When royals bring attention to a social issue like mental health, early childhood development, literacy, or elder care, they may encourage charitable giving, change the public agenda, and get government and civil society groups to act. The catalytic effect depends on how legitimate the royal messenger seems to the public. If people believe the messenger, the message gains traction. As a result, the Princess of Wales's reputation becomes a real advantage for advocacy efforts. The same is true for Camilla's reputation. Any improvement in her status opens up new issues that may benefit from royal attention. In the end, it is good to think about what could happen in the future and how it would affect things. One possible outcome is that more and more people will like Camilla, while William and Catherine will continue to rise in popularity. This would create a harmonic situation in which the monarchy benefits from universal affection and significant involvement in social concerns. In this situation, Charles's careful administration and the family's carefully crafted public image keep the institution important and make past tensions less important. On the other hand, a badly managed transition marked by clear competition for attention, mixed messages, or clear internal conflict might bring back doubts about the monarchy's unity and purpose. The problem isn't only one of reputation. In a political climate when people are leaning toward republicanism and constitutional debates might come up again, a monarchy that is clearly split could make reformer arguments more persuasive to those who are already dubious. The sovereign's main job is to create a story that brings together the best traits of the current consort and the future generation of kings and queens. This means giving Camilla chances to show off her charitable work and personal kindness in ways that are not too simple, while also giving William and Catherine a public platform to learn the leadership skills and public policies that will be important for their future reign. It takes a lot of planning to have public events that demonstrate unity and individual efforts that show off different personalities. It also takes a communication strategy that puts coherence ahead of competition. The evaluation of this particular period in the House of Windsor's history will ultimately depend on the interplay between institutional governance and human relationships. The king may determine the character and duration of his reign by his capacity to balance affection and duty, reconcile historical conflicts with present realities, and allocate tasks that reduce competition while fostering cooperation. The monarchy's viability in a modern democratic society depends on its leader's ability to represent both tradition and modernity, respecting the past while being relevant. The public's attention is shifting more and more to the Princess of Wales as a symbol of the monarchy's possible future, while Queen Camilla strengthens her current position. The sovereign's job is to show how their individual paths fit into a larger institutional story. He must continue to carefully and discreetly handle interpersonal relationships, which has become a basic necessity of modern constitutional monarchy. The House of Windsor will only last as long as its key members can balance their personal loyalties with their public duties. This means that the beautiful outside of Buckingham Palace must be matched by strong, consistent, and credible leadership on the inside. Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts, and goodbye for now.